sermon last Sunday. Oh, it's really wonderful, Dr. Harper. In only 2 short years, you've just taken on the spirit of Brooklyn.
That's very gratifying, Miss Brewster.
Well, you see, living here next to the church all of our lives, we've seen so many ministers come and go. The spirit of Brooklyn, we always say, is friendliness. And your sermons aren't so much sermons as friendly talks.
Personally, I've always enjoyed my talks with Cardinal Gibbons. Or have I met him yet?
Oh, no, dear, not yet. Are the biscuits good?
Bully!
Oh, won't you have another biscuit, Dr. Harper?
Oh, thank you, Miss Abby. I always eat too many of your biscuits just to taste that lovely jam.
Oh, but you haven't tried the quince. We always put a little apple in with it to take the tartness out. Well, we'll send you over some.
No, you keep it here so I can be sure of having your biscuits with it.
I do hope they don't make us use that imitation flour again with this war trouble and all. No, it may not be very charitable of me, but I've almost come to the conclusion that this Mr. Hitler isn't a Christian.
Yes, if only Europe were on another planet.
Europe, sir?
Yes, Eddie.
Point you the other way.
Gun.
To the west. There's your danger, there's your enemy, Japan.
Ted.
Yes.
Not so much talk about the war, more about the canal.
Oh, well, let's not talk about war. We'll have some more tea, dear.
No, thank you, Aunt Abby.
Dr. Harper?
No, thank you. You know, Miss Abby, war and violence do seem far removed from your surroundings.
Yes, it is peaceful here, isn't it?
Yes, peaceful. The virtues of another day, they're all right here in this house. The gentle virtues that went out with candlelight and good manners and low taxes.
Oh, it's just as it was when Grandfather Brewster built and furnished it. Well, except for the electricity, but we used that as little as possible. It was Mortimer who persuaded us to put that in.
Yes, I can understand that. Your nephew Mortimer seems to live only by electric light.
Well, the poor dear has to work so late. Oh, I understand he's taken Elaine with him to the theater again tonight. Oh, Teddy, your brother Mortimer will be here a little later.
Bully, just bully.
Oh, we're so happy it's Elaine Mortimer takes to the theater with him.
Well, I must admit it's a new experience for me to have to wait until 3 in the morning for my daughter to be brought home.
Oh, I hope you don't disapprove of Mortimer.
Well,
Oh, we'd feel so badly, Sister Martha and I, since it was here in our home that your daughter first met Mortimer.
oh yes. And so I'll say immediately that I believe Mortimer himself to be quite a worthy gentleman. But I also must admit that I've watched the growing intimacy between him and my daughter with some trepidation. For one reason, Miss Abby.
You mean his stomach?
Stomach.
Oh, his dyspepsia. He's bothered with it, so poor boy.
No, Miss Abby, I'll be frank with you. I'm speaking of your nephew's unfortunate connection with the theater.
The theater? No, Mortimer writes for a New York newspaper.
Of course, Miss Abby. But a dramatic critic is constantly exposed to the theater, and I don't doubt but what some of them do develop an interest in it.
Well, not Mortimer. You need have no fear of that. Why, Mortimer hates the theater.
Really?
Oh, yes, he writes awful things about the theater. Well, you can't blame him, poor boy. He was so happy about real estate, which you really knew something about, and then they made him take this terrible night position. Oh, but as he says, the theater can't last much longer anyway, and in the meantime, it's a living. Yes, I think if we give the theater another year or two, perhaps we won't have to work. Oh. No, thank you, Teddy, I'll go. Oh, hello, Mr. Brophy.
Hello, Miss Brewster.
How do you do, Mr. Brophy?
Very well, Miss Brewster. What news have you to report? Colonel, I have nothing to report. Very well.
You know Dr. Harper.
Sure, hello, Dr. Harper. Ma'am, I come for the toys for the Christmas fund.
Oh,
That's a
yes.
splendid work you men do, fixing up discarded toys to give poor children a happier Christmas.
Well, you know, it gives us something to do when we just sit around the station. You get tired of playing cards, and you start cleaning your gun. And the first thing you know, you've shot yourself in the foot.
Teddy, why don't you go upstairs to your Aunt Martha's room and get that big box of toys? How is Mrs. Brophy today? Mrs. Brophy's been quite ill, Dr. Harper.
John!
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I'll get you some beef broth to take to her.
Oh, don't bother, Miss Abby. You've done so much for her already.
Oh, we made it this morning. Sister Martha is taking some to someone right now. It won't take a minute. Now, both of you just sit down and be comfortable.
She shouldn't go to all that trouble. Listen, try to stop her or her sister from doing something nice. For what? They don't even care how you vote.
When I first received my call to Brooklyn and moved next door, my wife wasn't well. When she died, and 4 months before, well, if I know what pure kindness and absolute generosity are, it's because I've known the Brewster sisters.
Colonel, you promised not to do that!
But I have to call a chemist. You need those supplies.
You used to do that in the middle of the night. The neighbors raised Cain with us. Well, I suppose they're a little afraid of him anyway.
Oh, he's quite harmless.
Suppose he does think he's Teddy Roosevelt. There's a lot worse people he think he was. It's a shame, though. Nice family like that, hatching a goo-goo. But you know, his father, the old girl's brother, was some sort of a genius, wasn't he? And their father, Teddy's grandfather. Seems to me I've heard he's a little crazy as well. But he made $1 million.
Here in Brooklyn?
Yeah, patent medicine. Tried him out on people. He used the house here as a sort of a clinic. Old Sergeant Edwards remembers him. The department never did bother him much, as he was pretty useful in autopsy cases sometimes, especially poison ones. But whatever he did, he left his daughters fixed for life. Thank God for that. Not that they ever spend any of it on themselves.
Yes, I'm well acquainted with their charities.
You don't know a tenth of it. When I was with Missing Persons Bureau, I was trying to trace a man I never did find. But do you know that there's a renting agency that has his house down on this list of rented rooms? They don't rent rooms. But I suppose anyone comes here looking for a room goes away with a nice meal and a few dollars in their kick. I suppose it's just their way of digging up some people to do some good too.
Well, now, isn't this nice?
Hello, Miss Brewster.
How do you do, Mr. Brophy? Dr. Harper.
Ma'am, I'll come to the toys for the Christmas fund.
Oh, yes. Teddy's Army and Navy. They wear out. They're all packed.
Yeah, the Colonel's upstairs acting right now. It seems the cabinet has to okay it.
Oh, yes, of course. I hope Mrs. Brophy's better.
She's doing fine, ma'am. Your sister's getting some broth for me to take to her right now.
Oh, yes, we made it this morning. I just took some to poor Mr. Bernitsky, who broke so many bones. Oh, Martha, you're back. How is Mr. Bernitsky? Well, dear, it's pretty serious, I'm afraid. The doctor was there. He's going to amputate in the morning. Oh, can we be present? No. I asked, but he said it's against the rules of the hospital.
You could be of any service, and you must spare yourself something.
Well, Mr. Brophy, here's the broth. Now, you make sure it's good and hot.
Yes, ma'am. Wow, this will be fine. That O'Malley was nuts about toy soldiers.
That's General Miles. I've retired him. What's this? The organ?
Teddy, dear, put it back.
But the organ's to go to Australia.
Oh, no, Teddy.
I'm sorry I've given my word to fighting Bob Evans.
But, Teddy.
What's the difference who gets it? Bobby Evans, Izzy Cohen? Well, ma'am, I'll be on my way. Thanks a lot.
Oh, not at all. Goodbye.
I better be getting...
George! George, the blockhouse!
The stairs are always San Juan Hill.
Have you ever tried to convince him that he wasn't Teddy Roosevelt?
Oh, no. Oh, he's so happy being Teddy Roosevelt. Well, once, a long time ago, remember, Martha? We thought that if he would be George Washington, it would be a change for him.
But he just stayed under his bed for days. He wouldn't be anybody.
And we'd so much rather he'd be Mr. Roosevelt than nobody.
Well, if he's happy, and what's more important, you're happy, you'll see that he signed these.
What are they?
Dr. Harper's made all the arrangements for Teddy to go to Happydale Sanitarium after we pass on.
But why must Teddy sign any papers now?
It's best to have the matter settled. If the Lord should decide to take you away suddenly, perhaps we could persuade him to commit himself. That would mean an unpleasant legal procedure. Mr. Witherspoon knows they're to be filed away until the time comes to use them.
Mr. Witherspoon? Who's he?
He's a superintendent of Happydale.
Dr. Harper's arranged for me to come over tomorrow or next day to meet him.
I'd best be running along, or Elaine will be over here looking for me.
Well, Dr. Harper, give our love to Elaine. Oh, and please don't think harshly of Mortimer because he's a dramatic critic. Somebody has to do those things.
Did you just have tea? Isn't it rather late?
Yes, and dinner's going to be late too.
So why?
Oh, Teddy, good news for you. You're going to go to Panama and dig another lock for the canal.
Delighted. That's bully, just bully. I shall be prepared at once for the journey. George!
Oh, Abby, while I was out, I couldn't wait for you. I did didn't know when you'd be back, and Dr. Harper was coming.
But all by yourself?
Oh, I got along fine.
I'll run right upstairs and see.
Oh, no, dear, there wasn't enough time when I was all alone.
Well?
Martha, just look in the window seat. Elaine, come in, dear.
Good morning, Miss Abby. Good morning, Miss Martha. Well,
No, I thought Father was here.
oh, he just this minute left. Didn't you meet him?
No, I cut through the cemetery. Oh, well, where's Mortimer?
Oh, well, he hasn't come here yet, dear.
Well, he asked me to meet him here. Do you mind if I wait?
Oh, not at all.
Why don't you sit down, dear?
But we really must speak to Mortimer about doing this to you.
Doing what?
Well, he was brought up to know better. When a gentleman is taking a young lady out, he should call her at her house.
There's something about calling for a girl at a parsonage that discourages any man who doesn't embroider.
Well, he's done this too often. We are going to speak to him.
Oh, please don't. After a young man whose idea of nightlife is taking me to prayer meetings every night, there's something exciting about going to the theater.
Well, dear, it's very comforting for us, too. Because if Mortimer has to see some of those plays he has to see, at least he's sitting next to a minister's daughter.
Oh, my goodness, Elaine, what you must think of us not having tea cleared away by this time.
Oh, don't bother with anything in the kitchen until Mortimer comes, and then I'll help you. Mortimer should be here any minute now.
Well, now, Father must have been worried not to find me home. I better run over and speak to him.
It's a shame you missed him, dear.
Well, now, if Mortimer comes, you tell him I'll be right back. Oh, hi, Lord.
Hello, Aunt Martha.
Abby, Mortimer's here.
Were you going somewhere?
I was going to tell Father not to wait up for me tonight.
I didn't know that was still being done. Even in Brooklyn.
Oh, hello, Mortimer.
Hello, Aunt Abby.
How are you doing today, dear?
I'm doing just fine. You look well. You haven't changed much since yesterday.
Oh, my goodness, it was yesterday, wasn't it? We're seeing a great deal of you lately. Well, you come sit down, sit down.
Abby, haven't we something to do in the kitchen?
Hmm?
You know, the tea things.
Oh, yes, the tea things. Well, you two just make yourselves at home. Just
Make yourselves at home.
Well, can't you take a hint?
No, that was pretty obvious. A lack of inventiveness, I should say. Where do you want to go to dinner?
I don't care. I'm not very hungry.
Well, I just had breakfast. Why don't we wait till after the show?
Well, now, won't that make it kind of late?
Not with the little stinker we're seeing tonight. From what I've heard about it, we'll be at Blake's by 10 o'clock.
Now, you ought to be fair to these
Are
plays.
these plays fair to me?
Well, I've never seen you walk out on a musical.
That musical isn't opening tonight.
Oh, it's not?
Darling, you'll have to learn the rules. With the musical, there are always 4 changes of title and 3 postpones. They liked it in New Haven, but it needs a lot of work.
Well, I was hoping it was a musical.
You have such a light mind.
Not a bit. Musicals seem to have a humanizing effect on you. After a serious play, we joined the proletariat in the subway, and I ended up listening to a lecture on the drama. But after a musical, well, you take me home in a taxi, and you make a few passes.
Oh, no, darling, that's a very inaccurate piece of reporting.
Oh, well, I will admit, after the Behrman play, you told me I had authentic beauty. That's a thing to say to a girl.
I've never been able to rationalize it.
What?
My falling in love with a girl who lives in Brooklyn.
Falling in love? Well, we're not stooping to be articulate now, are we?
The only way I can regain my self-respect is to keep you in New York.
Did you say keep?
No, I've come to the conclusion you're holding out for legality.
Well, I think I can afford to be a good girl for quite some time.
I can't wait that long. Where can we be married in a hurry? Say tonight.
No, I'm sure Father will insist on officiating.
I'll bet your father could even make a marriage service sound pedestrian.
Are you by chance writing a review of it?
Give me, darling, it's an occupational disease. I may give that play tonight a good notice.
Oh, don't pretend you love me that much.
I'll telephone Winchell, have him publish the minutes.
Nevertheless.
All right, everything formal and legal. Not later than next month.
Well, then I'll call Father. We'll have to set a date.
We'll have to see what's in rehearsal. There's a lot of other first nights in October.
Hello, Mortimer.
How are you, Mr. President?
Oh, bully. What news have you to report?
Just this, Mr. President. The country is squarely behind you.
I know. Isn't it wonderful? Well, goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Where are you off to, Teddy?
Panama.
He goes down there to dig locks for the canal.
You're awfully sweet to him, and he seems quite fond of you.
Teddy always was my favorite brother.
Favorite? Were there others?
Yeah, there's another brother, Jonathan.
Jonathan? Well, I've never heard of him. Well, your aunt certainly have never mentioned him.
We don't like to talk about Jonathan. You see, he left home at a very early age, by request. He's the kind of boy that liked to cut worms into with his teeth.
What became of him?
I don't know. He wanted to become a surgeon like grandfather, but he wouldn't go to medical school first. His practice got him into some trouble.
No, aren't you two going to be late for the theater?
Oh, no, we're skipping dinner. We don't have to leave for another half an hour.
Oh, well, then I'll leave you two alone together
No,
again.
don't bother. I need to run over and speak to Father. He likes to pray over me a little before I go out with you.
By the way, I'm going to marry her.
What? Oh, Mortimer. Martha, you come right in here. I've got the most wonderful news for you. Mortimer and Elaine are going to be married. Married? Oh, Mortimer. Oh, we hoped it would happen just like this.
Elaine must be the happiest girl in the world.
I left some papers around here. It was a chapter of my book on Thoreau. Have you seen it?
Well, if you left it here, it must be here somewhere.
Well, but what are your plans? When are you going to be married? Oh, there must be something more you can tell us about Elaine.
Elaine? Oh, yeah, she thought it was brilliant.
What was, dear?
My chapter on Thoreau.
Oh, well, when Elaine gets back, I think we ought to celebrate. Is there some of that Lady Baltimore cake left?
Yes, and I think it happened in this room.
Where could I put that?
Well, Mortimer, with your fiancé sitting next to you tonight, I do hope the play will be something you can enjoy for once. Oh, it could be something romantic. What's the name of it?
Murder Will Out.
Dear.
Yeah, the curtain goes up and the first thing you see is a dead body. That's Abby!
Yes, dear.
You know how you were going to make plans for Teddy to go to sanitarium, Happydale?
Yes, Dr. Harper was here today and brought the papers for Teddy to sign. Here they are.
He's got to sign them right away.
Yes, that's what Dr. Harper thinks. That way there won't be any legal difficulty.
He's got to sign them this minute. He's down in the cellar. Get him up here right away.
Oh, there's no such hurry as that.
No, when Teddy starts working in Panama, you can't get his mind on anything else.
Teddy has to go to Happydale now. Tonight.
Oh, no, dear, that's not till after we're gone.
Right away, I tell you, right away.
Now, Mortimer, how can you say such a thing? Why, as long as we live, we'll never be separated from Teddy.
Darlings, I've got some very shocking news for you. You know how we always humored Teddy because we thought he was harmless?
Why, he is harmless.
He was harmless. That's why he has to go to Happydale. Look, why he has to be confined.
Mortimer, why have you suddenly turned against Teddy, your own brother?
You might as well know sometime. Teddy's killed a man.
Nonsense, dear.
There's a body in the window seat.
Yes, dear, we know.
Oh, of course, dear, but it has nothing to do with Teddy.
Now, Mortimer, just forget about it. Forget you ever saw the gentleman.
Who is it?
Well, his name is Hoskins, Adam Hoskins. That's really all I know about him. Oh, he's a Methodist.
That's all you know about him? What happened to him? What's he doing here?
Oh, he died.
Martha, men just don't get in the window seats and die.
Oh, no, he died first.
How?
Oh, Mortimer, don't be so inquisitive. The gentleman died because he drank some cordial with poison in it.
How did the poison get in the cordial?
Well, we put it in cordial because it's less noticeable. When it's in tea, it has a distinct odor.
So you put it in the cordial?
Yes, and I put Mr. Hoskins in the window seat because Dr. Harper was coming.
So you knew what you'd done. You didn't want Dr. Harper to see the body.
Well, not at tea. That wouldn't have been very nice. Now, Mortimer, you just forget about it. I do think Martha and I have the right to our own little secrets.
Oh, Abby, while I was out, I dropped in on Mrs. Schultz. She's much better, but she'd like us to take Junior to the movies again.
Oh, well, we must do that tomorrow or next day.
Oh, yes, but this time we'll go where we want to go. I'm not going to let Junior drag me into another one of those scary pictures.
City Dash. Hello. Al? Yeah, this thing, Al, do you know who this is? Yeah, that's right. Say, when I left the office, did I tell you where I was going? Where did I say? It would take me about a half an hour to get to Brooklyn. Well, what time have you got? That's right. I must be here. Hey, Tabby, Martha! What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
What are we going to do about what, dear?
There's a body in there.
Oh, yes, Mr. Hoskins.
Good heavens. I can't turn you over to the police. What are we going to do?
Well, for one thing, dear, stop being so excited.
And for pity's sake, stop worrying. We told you to forget the whole thing.
Forget. My dear Aunt Tabby, can't I make you realize that something has to be done?
Now, Mortimer, you behave yourself. You're too old to be flying off the handle like this.
Mr. Hotchkiss!
Hoskins, dear.
Well, whatever his name is, you can't just leave him there.
Oh, we don't intend to, dear.
No, Teddy's downstairs right now digging another lock.
You're going to bury Mr. Hotchkiss in the cellar?
Oh, yes, dear. That's what we do with the others.
No, you can't bury Mr. Others?
Oh, yes, the other gentleman.
When you say others, you mean more than one others?
Oh, yes, dear. Let me see. This is 11, isn't it, Abby?
Oh, no, dear, this makes 12.
No, I think you're wrong. This is only 11.
No, because I remember when Mr. Hoskins came in, it occurred to me he would make an even dozen.
Oh, but we shouldn't count the first one.
Oh, see, I was counting the first one, so that makes 12.
Hello? Oh, hello, Al. My, it's good to hear your voice. Yeah, Al, look, you've got to get hold of George right away. He's got to pick up the play tonight. I can't make it. No, Al, you're wrong. I'll tell you about it tomorrow. Look, George has got to cover the play tonight. Look, this is my department. I'm running it. You get a hold of George. Let's see. Where were we? 12?
Well, Abby thinks we should count the first one, and that makes 12.
All right. Now, who was the first?
Mr. Midgley, he was a Baptist.
Of course, I still don't think we should count him because he just died.
Oh, Martha means without any help from us. You see, dear, Mr. Midgley came here looking for a room.
It was right after you moved to New York.
And it didn't seem right for such a lovely room to go to waste when there were so many people who needed it.
He was such a lonely old man.
All of his kith and kin were dead, and it left him so forlorn and unhappy in the world.
We felt so sorry for him.
And then, when his heart attack came, and he sat dead, right there in that chair looking so peaceful. And remember, Martha, we decided then and there that if we could help any other lonely old man to the same peace, we would.
He fell dead right in that chair? Huh? Awful for you.
Oh, no, not really. Why, it was rather like old times. Grandfather always used to keep a cadaver or two around the house. You see, Teddy had been digging in Panama, and he thought Mr. Midgley was a yellow fever victim.
Oh, that meant he had to be buried immediately.
So we all took him down to Panama and put him in the loft. So you see, dear, there's nothing to worry about because we know exactly what we're doing.
So that's how all this started? That man coming in here and jumping in?
Oh, yes, but we realized we couldn't depend on that happening again, so...
You remember those jars of poison in Grandfather's laboratory all these years?
Oh, when you know your Aunt Martha's knack for mixing things, you've eaten enough of her piccalilli.
Well, dear, for 1 gallon of cordial, I take a teaspoon of arsenic, a half a teaspoon of strychnine, and just a pinch of cyanide.
Should have quite a kick.
Oh, yes, one of our gentlemen found time to say how delicious.
Well, I better get things started in the kitchen.
Oh, I wish you could stay for dinner.
I'm trying out a new recipe.
Well, I'll help you, dear. Oh, I feel much better now. You have to wait for Elaine, don't you? Oh, how happy you must be. Well, I'll leave you alone with your thoughts, dear.
sight. They had to tumble. It made it kind of hard to get away.
Well, why don't you just run along home? I'll call you tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
You know I always call you up every day or two.
Mortimer, we're going to the theater tonight.
No, we're not.
Well, why not?
Elaine, something's come up.
Come up. Mortimer, have you lost your job?
No, I haven't lost my job. I'm just not coming to that play tonight. You run along home.
No, I've got to know what's happened. I mean, certainly you can tell me.
No, dear, I can't.
Well, if we're going to be married. Have you forgotten that 15 minutes ago? You proposed to me.
I did. Oh, yes, I did. Well, as far as I know, that's still on. You run along home.
Now, listen, mister. You can't propose to me 1 minute and then just throw me out of the house the next.
I'm not throwing you out of the house, Duckling. Now, will you get out of here?
No, I will not. Not until I've had some kind of explanation.
No, Elaine. Gosh, what am I going to do with you sometimes? Hello? Hello, Al? Hold on a minute, will you? All right, it's important. Just wait a minute. Look, Elaine, you're a sweet girl and I love you dearly. Right now, I have something on my mind and I need you to run away. Wait until I call you.
Don't try to be masterful.
When we're married and I have problems to face, I hope you're less tedious and unsatisfied.
When we're married, how about if we're married? I hope I find you adequate.
Elaine! Hello? Al? Hello? Al? Hello? Hello? Al?
That's the doorbell, dear, not the telephone. Oh, how do you do? Come in.
I understand you have a room to rent?
Yes, won't you step in?
Are you the lady of the house?
Yes, I'm Miss Brewster, and this is my sister, another Miss Brewster.
My name is Gibbs.
Well, won't you sit down? I'm sorry, we were just setting the table for dinner.
Hello? Let me talk to Al again. City Dash. Al! City Dash! What? Oh, I'm sorry, wrong number.
May I see the room?
Why don't you sit down a minute and let's get acquainted?
That won't be much good if I don't like the room.
Is Brooklyn your home?
Haven't got a home. Live in a hotel. Don't like it.
Hello? City Dash?
Are your family Brooklyn people?
Haven't got a family.
All alone in the world?
Yep.
Well, Martha, you've come to just the right house. Do sit down.
Hello, Al? Look, we got cut off, Al. I can't come to the play tonight. That's all there is to it, I can't.
What church do you go to? There's an Episcopal church practically next door.
Presbyterian. Used to be.
What's George doing in Bermuda? Well, certainly I told him he could go to Bermuda. It's my department, isn't it? Oh, come on, Al. There's got to be somebody around the office. You look around.
Is there always this much noise?
Oh, he doesn't live with us.
Oh, come on, Al. There's got to be somebody there. How about the office? But, right, the one we don't like? Well, you look around. I'll hold on.
I'd really like to see the room.
Oh, it's upstairs, but first try a glass of our cordial.
Nope, never touch it.
Well, we make it ourselves. It's raspberry cordial.
Raspberry cordial. I haven't had raspberry cordial since I was a boy. Thank you.
Oh, there's got to be somebody around there, Al. How about one of the printers? The one who sets my copy. Third machine from the left. His name's Joe. But Al, he might turn out to be another Burns Manley.
Do you grow your own raspberry bushes?
No, but the cemetery is full of them.
You serve meals?
Oh, we might, but first try a glass of our cordial.
Mortimer,
Oh, no, Mortimer, not that.
You want me killed?
Oh, Mortimer, now you've ruined everything.
You can't do things like that. It's not only against the law, it's wrong. It's not a nice thing to do. People wouldn't understand. He wouldn't understand.
Abby, we shouldn't have told Mortimer.
What I'm trying to say is, well, darlings, this has turned into a very bad habit.
Now, Mortimer, we don't try to stop you from doing things you like to do. I don't see why you should interfere with us.
Hello? No. All right. Okay, I'll see the first act and I'll pan the rest of it. Look, Alan, you've got to do something for me. Get a hold of O'Brien, our lawyer, the head of our legal department. Yeah, having me at the theater. Don't let me down. Okay, I'm starting now. Look, I've got to go to the theater, but before I go, will you promise me something?
Well, we have to know what it was first.
You know I love you, and I know you love me, and you know I'd do anything in the world for you. I just want you to do this one little thing for me.
What do you want us to do, dear?
Don't do anything. I mean, don't do anything. Don't let anybody in and leave Mr. Hotchkiss where he is.
Why?
I want some time to think. I've got quite a little to think about. You'll do this for me, won't you?
Well, we were planning on holding services before dinner.
Services?
Certainly. You don't think we'd bury Mr. Hoskins without a full Methodist service, do you?
Can that wait until I get back?
Oh, then you could join us.
Yes.
Oh, Mortimer, you'll enjoy the services, especially the hymns. Remember, Martha, how beautifully Mortimer used to sing in the choir before his voice changed.
You'll do this for me, won't you?
Well, oh, Martha, we can do it now that Mortimer's cooperating with us. Well, okay, Mortimer.
Hey, have you got some paper?
Here's some stationery. Will this do?
Yeah, that'll be fine. I can save time if I write my review on the way to the theater.
Mortimer didn't seem quite himself today.
Well, that's only natural. I think I know why.
Why?
Well, he's just become engaged to be married. I suppose that always makes a man nervous.
Well, I'm so happy for Elaine, and their honeymoon ought to give Mortimer a chance for a real vacation. I don't think he got much rest this summer.
Well, at least he didn't go kiting off to China or Spain.
I could never understand why he wanted to go to those places.
Well, I think to Mortimer, the theater's always been pretty small potatoes. He needs something bigger to criticize, something like the human race.
Oh, Abby, if Mortimer's coming back for the services for Mr. Hoskins, we'll need another hymnal. There's one in my room.
You know, Martha, it's really my turn to read the services, but since you weren't here when Mr. Hoskins came, I want you to do it.
Oh, that's very sweet of you, dear. But are you sure you want me to?
It's only fair.
Well, I think I'll wear my black bombazine and Mother's old brooch.
Oh, I'll go, dear.
Abby, we promised Mortimer.
Who do you suppose it is?
I don't know. I'll look. It's two men. I've never seen them before.
Are you sure?
There's a car at the curb. They must have come in that.
Oh, let me look.
Do you recognize them?
Oh, no, they're strangers to me.
Well, we'd better pretend we're not at home.
Come in, Doctor. This is the home of my youth. As a boy, I couldn't wait to escape from this place. Now I can't wait to escape back into it.
Yeah, Johnny, it's a fine hideout.
The family must still live here. There's something so unmistakably Brewster about the Brewsters. I hope there's a fatted calf awaiting the return of the prodigal.
Yeah, Johnny, I'm hungry. Look, drinks.
As though we were expected. A good omen.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Why, Abby! Martha! It's me, Jonathan!
You get out of here!
But it's me, Jonathan, your nephew, Jonathan.
You're not our nephew, Jonathan, so don't pretend you are. You just get out of here.
But I am Jonathan, and this is Dr. Einstein.
Oh, and he's not Dr. Einstein either.
No, not Dr. Albert Einstein, Dr. Herman Einstein.
Oh, you're not our nephew, Jonathan. Who are you?
I see you're still wearing the lovely garnituring Grandma Brewster bought back in England. And you, Aunt Martha, still the high collar to hide the scar where grandfather's acid burned you.
His voice is like Jonathan's.
Have you been in an accident?
My face. Dr. Einstein is responsible for that. He's a plastic surgeon. He changes people's faces.
But I've seen that face before. Remember, Abby, when we went to the movie and I was so scared? It was that face!
easy, Johnny, easy. Don't worry, ladies. These last 5 years, I give Johnny 3 new faces. I gave him another one right away. This last face, well, I saw that picture too, just before I operate.
See what you've done to me. Even my own family.
Johnny, you're home, in this lovely house. So often he tells me about Brooklyn, about this house, about his aunts that he loves so much. They know it's you, Johnny. You know it's Jonathan. Speak to him. Tell him so.
Well, Jonathan, what have you been doing all of these years? Yes, where have you been?
Oh, England, South Africa, Australia. The last 5 years in Chicago. Dr. Einstein and I were in business there together.
Oh, we were in Chicago for the World's Fair.
Yes, we found it awfully warm.
Yeah, it got too hot for us too.
But it's good to be back in Brooklyn again. And you, Abby, Martha, you don't look a day older. And just as I remembered you, sweet, charming, hospitable. And dear Teddy, did he get into politics? My little brother, Doctor, was determined to become president.
Oh, Teddy's fine, just fine. And Mortimer's well, too.
I know about Mortimer. Seen his picture at the head of his column. He's evidently fulfilled all the promise of his early nasty nature.
Oh, we're very fond of Mortimer.
Well, that's very nice to have seen you.
Bless you, Aunt Martha. It's good to be home.
Well, Martha, we mustn't let what's on the stove boil over.
Yes, if you'll excuse us for a moment, unless you're in a hurry to go somewhere.
Well, Johnny, where do we go from here? We got to think fast. The police have got pictures of that place. I got to operate on you right away. We got to find some place for that, and some place for Mr. Spinalzo, too.
Don't waste any worry on that rat.
But Johnny, we got the hot sniff on our hands.
It's Mr. Spinalzo.
But you can't leave a dead body in the rumble seat. You shouldn't have killed him, Johnny. He was a nice fellow. He gives us a lift, and what happens?
He said I looked like Boris Karloff. That's your work, Doctor. You did that to me.
Let me find a place somewhere. I fix you up quick.
Tonight.
But Johnny, I'm hungry. I'm weak.
Jonathan, we're very happy you remembered us and took the trouble to come and say hello, but you were never happy in this house, and we were never happy when you were here. So we've just come in to say goodbye.
Aunt Abby, I can't say that your feelings toward me comes as a surprise. I spent a great many hours regretting the many heartaches I must have given you as a boy.
Yes, you were quite a trial to us, Jonathan.
But my greatest disappointment is for Dr. Einstein. I promised him that no matter how rushed we were in passing through Brooklyn, I'd take the time to bring him here for Aunt Martha's home-cooked dinners.
Oh, no, I don't think there'll be enough.
Abby, it's a pretty good-sized pot roast.
Pot roast!
I think the least we can
Thank
do
you,
is-
Aunt Martha. We'll stay to dinner.
Well, we'll hurry it along.
Yes.
Oh, Jonathan, if you want to freshen up, why don't you use the washroom in Grandfather's old laboratory?
Is that still there?
Oh, yes, just as he left it. Well, I'll hurry things along since I know we're all in a hurry.
Well, we get a meal anyway.
Grandfather's laboratory. And just as it was, Doctor, a perfect operating room.
Too bad we can't use it.
Why, after you finished with me, we could make a fortune here. The laboratory, the large ward in the attic, 10 beds, Doctor. And Brooklyn is crying for your talents.
If I work yourself up, Johnny. Anyway, for Brooklyn, I think we're a year too late.
You don't know this town, Doctor. Practically everybody in Brooklyn needs a new face.
But so many of the old faces are locked up.
A very small percentage. And the boys in Brooklyn are famous for paying very generously to stay out of jail.
Take it easy, Johnny. Your aunts, they don't want us here.
We're here for dinner, aren't we?
Yeah, but after dinner.
Leave it to me. I'll handle it. Why, this home will be our headquarters for years.
That would be beautiful, Johnny. This nice quiet house, those aunts of yours are such sweet ladies. I love them already. I get the bags, yeah?
Doctor, we must be invited.
But you just said
We'll
that-
be invited.
And if they say no?
Doctor, two helpless old women.
It's like comes through a beautiful dream. Only I hope you're not dreaming. It's so peaceful.
That's what makes this house so perfect for us. It's so peaceful. Those 5 years in Chicago opportunities were among the busiest and happiest of my life.
And from Chicago, we go to South Bend, Indiana.
I don't think they'd be interested in our experiences in Indiana.
Well, Jonathan, you've led a very interesting life, I'm sure, but we really shouldn't have allowed you to talk so late.
Meeting Dr. Einstein in London, you might say, changed the whole course of my life. You remember I said I'd been in South Africa in the diamond business, then in Amsterdam in the diamond market. I wanted to return to South Africa. Dr. Einstein made that possible for me.
A good job, Johnny. When we take off the bandages, his face looks so different. The nurse had to introduce me.
I love that face. I still carry the picture with me.
Oh, yes, this looks more the way you used to, but still, I wouldn't know you.
I think we'll go back to that face now, Doctor.
Yeah, it's safe now.
Well, I know you're in a hurry to get to where you're going.
My dear Hans, I'm so full of that delicious dinner, I'm hardly able to move a muscle.
Yeah, it's nice here.
After all, it's very late.
I found it! I found it!
What did you find, Teddy?
My life story, my biography, if you will. Here's the picture I was telling you about, General. There we are, both of us. President Roosevelt and General Goebbels at Cobra Cut. That's me, General, and that's you.
My, how I've changed.
Well, you see, that picture hasn't been taken yet. In fact, we haven't even started work on Cobra Cut. We're still digging new locks. And now, you will accompany me on the inspection of the new lock.
Oh, no, Teddy, don't go to Panama.
We go some other time. Panama's a long way off.
Nonsense, it's just down in the cellar.
Cellar?
We let him dig the Panama Canal in the cellar.
General Goebbels, as President of the United States, Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy, and the man who gave you this job, I demand that you accompany me on the inspection of the new lock.
Teddy! I think it's time you went to bed.
Who are you?
I'm Woodrow Wilson. Go to bed.
No. You're not Wilson. But you do look familiar. Yes. Perhaps I meet you on my hunting trip to Africa. You look like somebody I might meet in the jungle.
Oh, it's your brother Jonathan, dear.
He's had his face changed.
Ah, picture faker.
Well, perhaps you had better go to bed, Teddy. Jonathan and his friend have to go back to their hotel.
General Goebbels, inspect the canal.
All right, Mr. President, we go to Panama.
Bully, just bully. We'll get started right away. It's down south, you know.
Well, bon voyage.
Aunt Abby, I must correct your misapprehension. You spoke earlier of us going to a hotel. We have no hotel.
Well, there's a very nice little
Aunt
hotel.
Martha, this is my home.
Oh, but Jonathan, you can't stay here. We need our rooms.
You need them?
Yes, for our lodgers.
There are lodgers in this house?
Well, not just now, but we
Then my
can
old
have.
room is still free.
Oh, but there's no place for Dr. Einstein.
He'll share the room with me.
No, Jonathan. I'm afraid you can't stay here.
You remember this afternoon that as a morning he was quite disagreeable. It wouldn't be very pleasant for any of us.
Perhaps we better let them stay here.
Well, just for tonight, Jonathan.
That's settled. Now will you get my room ready?
It only needs airing out.
Yes, we keep it ready to show our lodgers. I'm sure you and Dr. Einstein will find it comfortable.
You have a most distinguished guest in Dr. Einstein. I'm afraid you don't appreciate his skill, but you will. In a few weeks, you'll see me looking like a very different Jonathan.
He can't operate on you here.
When Dr. Einstein and I resume practice, when we get organized... Oh, I forgot to tell you. We're turning Grandfather's laboratory into an operating room.
No, Jonathan, we won't let you turn this house into a hospital.
A hospital? Heavens no. It'll be a beauty parlor.
Hey, Johnny, down in the center.
Doctor, my dear aunts have just invited us to stay with them.
Oh, you fixed it?
Well, you're sleeping here tonight.
Please get our rooms ready immediately.
Hey, Johnny, when I go down in the cellar, what do you think I find?
What?
The Panama Canal.
Panama Canal.
It's a whole teddy bear. It just fits Mr. Spinozzo, 6 feet long and 4 feet wide.
Down there?
It's like you'd think they knew we were bringing Mr. Spinozzo along, and that's hospitality.
Another good joke on my aunts. We're living in a house with a body buried in a cellar.
Yeah, how do we get him in?
Yes, we can't just walk him in through the door. I'll drive the car up between the house and the cemetery. Then when the aunts have gone to bed, we bring Mr. Spinozzo in through the window.
Bed. Just think we got a bed tonight.
Doctor, Remember, you're operating tomorrow.
I fix you up beautiful.
Don't.
Jonathan, your room is ready.
We're moving the car behind the house.
Oh, it's all right where it is until morning.
I don't want to leave it in the street. That might be against the law.
Abby, what are we going to do?
Well, we're not going to let them stay more than one night in this house, for one thing. What would the neighbors think? People coming in here with one face and coming out with another.
But Abby, what are we going to do about Mr. Hoskins?
Oh, Mr. Hoskins, it can't be very comfortable for him in there. He's been so patient, the poor dear. Well, I think Teddy had better get him downstairs right away.
I will not invite Jonathan to the funeral services.
Oh, no, we'll wait till they've gone to bed and then come down and hold the services.
General Gomez was very pleased at the size of the canal.
Teddy? Oh, Teddy, there's been another yellow fever victim.
Dear me! This will shock the general.
Oh, then we mustn't tell him about it.
But it's his department.
Oh, no, Teddy, we mustn't tell him. It would just spoil his visit.
I'm sorry, Aunt Tabby, this is out of my hands. It's his department. He'll have to be told.
No, we must keep it a secret, Teddy.
A state secret?
Yes, a state secret.
Promise?
You have the word of the President of the United States. Cross my heart and hope to die. Now, how will we keep this a secret?
Well, Teddy, you go downstairs in the cellar, and when I turn the lights out when it's all dark, you come back up and take the poor man down to Panama.
Yes, then we'll come down later and hold services.
You may announce the President will have a few words to say. Where is the poor devil?
He's in the window seat.
Dear me, seems to be spreading. We've never had yellow fever over there before.
Well, Martha, when Jonathan gets back, let's see if we can get them to bed right away.
Yes, then by the time they're asleep, we'll be dressed for the services. Oh, Abby, you know I've never even seen Mr. Hoskins.
Oh, my goodness, that's right, you were out. Well, you come right on over here and see him now. You know, he's really very nice looking considering he's a Methodist.
We're bringing the luggage through here.
Jonathan, your room is ready. You can go right up.
I'm afraid we don't keep Brooklyn out. We two run on to bed.
Oh, but I know you're both tired and we don't go to bed this early.
No, you should. It's time I come home to take care of you.
But we weren't planning to go anywhere.
Aunt Martha, did you hear me say go to bed? The instruments can go upstairs in the morning. Now then, we're all going to bed.
Oh, I'll just wait till you're up and then turn the lights out.
Run along, Aunt Martha. All right, Aunt Abby.
Oh, I'll be right up.
Now, Aunt Abby, turn on the lights. All right, Johnny. I'll get the glue. You go around and handle it.
No, Johnny, he's too heavy for me. You go outside and push. I stay here and pull. Together we get him down to Panama.
All right. Take a look around outside the house. And when I tap on the glass, you open the window.
All right. Don't go. He's open. All right, Johnny. Sorry, it was me. I slipped.
Be more careful.
We lost a leg somewhere. Johnny, somebody's at the door. Quick, I can manage here.
Miss Martha? Miss Abby? Well, Teddy, is that you? Well, who are you?
Who are you?
I'm Elaine Harper. I live next door.
And what are you doing here?
Well, I came over to see Miss Abby.
It was rather an untimely moment for a social call.
Well, I think you'd better explain what you're doing here.
We happen to live here.
You don't live here. I'm in this house every day, and I've never seen you before.
Perhaps we'd better introduce ourselves. This is Dr. Einstein,
Dr. Einstein.
a surgeon of great distinction, and something of a magician.
Well, I suppose you're going to tell me you're Boris
I'm
Karloff.
Jonathan Brewster.
Jonathan. Oh, you're Jonathan.
So you heard of me.
Well, yeah, it's just today for the first time.
And what did they say about me?
Well, just that there was another brother. I suppose that's you.
What are you doing prowling around here this time of night?
Well, I thought I saw someone walking around the house.
You thought you saw someone prowling around the house?
Well, yes, wasn't that you? Isn't that your car?
You thought you saw someone at the car?
Well, yes.
What else did you see?
Just someone coming around the house to the car.
What else did you see?
That's it. That's all I saw. I came over to warn Miss Abby and Miss Martha. But I mean, now that I know that it was you and that's your car, I don't need to bow. Miss Abby.
I think you're lying.
I think she tells the truth, Johnny. We let her go, eh?
I think she's lying. I think she's dangerous. She shouldn't be allowed around here. Loose!
Get your hands off me! Oh, Teddy!
Going to be private, sir.
No, Teddy, tell these men who I am!
That's my daughter, Alice.
No, Teddy! Teddy! Oh!
Stop, quick!
What's going on? Oh, what are you doing?
What's happening down there?
Come to burglar, sneak thief, go back to bed.
We'll call the police.
We'll call the police. We'll handle this. Did you hear me? Go back to your rooms.
Where have you been?
To the Norbase Theater. I should have known that. My goodness, I'm still there.
It's your brother Jonathan, dear, and this is Dr. Einstein.
I know this isn't a nightmare, but, what is it? Who did you say this was?
It's your brother Jonathan. He's had his face changed. Dr. Einstein performed the operation.
Jonathan. You always were a horror, but you have to look like one.
Easy, Johnny, easy.
Mortimer, have you forgotten the things I used to do to you when we were boys? Remember the time I tied you up with the bedpost? Needles in your feet.
Oh, it is Johnny. Yes, I remember. I remember you as the most detestable, vicious, venomous form of animal life I ever knew.
Now, don't you two boys start quarreling again the minute you see each other.
There's not going to be any fight, Aunt Abby. Jonathan, you're not wanted here. Get out.
Dr. Einstein and I have been invited to stay.
Not in this house.
Oh, well, just for tonight.
I don't want him anywhere near me.
Oh, but we did invite them for tonight, and it wouldn't be very nice to go back on our word.
All right. Tonight. First thing in the morning out. Where are they staying?
We put them in Jonathan's old room.
That's my old room. I'm staying there tonight. I'm here to stay.
Oh, Mortimer, I'm so glad.
We sleep down here, Johnny.
You bet your life to sleep down here.
You sleep on the sofa and I sleep on the window seat.
The window seat. Well, now, let's not argue about it. window seat's good enough for me tonight. I'll sleep on the window seat.
You know, Johnny, all this arguing makes me think of Mr. Spinalzo.
Spinoza. Well now, Mortimer, it really isn't necessary to inconvenience you like this. We'll sit down here tonight.
Jonathan, your sudden consideration for me is very evident.
Come along, Johnny, we get things out of the room, eh?
Don't bother, Doctor.
By the way, Doctor, I've completely lost track of Mr. Spinoza.
Who's this Mr. Spinoza?
Just a friend of ours Johnny's been looking for.
Don't bring anybody else in here.
He's all right, Johnny. While we pack, I'll tell you all about it.
Oh, Mortimer, you don't need to sleep down here. I can go in with Martha and you can take my room.
Don't bother, Aunt Abby. We'll have our things packed in a few minutes. And then you can have the room, Mortimer.
You're just wasting your time. I told you I'm sleeping down here.
Mortimer!
What's the matter with you, dear?
Mortimer, I've almost been killed!
Almost. Aunt Abby and Martha.
Jonathan, he mistook her for a snake. No, he was more than that. He's some kind of maniac. Oh, I'm scared of him.
Darling, you're trembling. Have you got any smelling salts?
No, but just make some hot tea or coffee.
Then some coffee. Make some for me, too. And some sandwiches. I haven't had any.
We'll make something for both of you. But Martha, we can leave our things down here now.
You weren't going out somewhere, were you? Do you know what time it is? It's after 12.
12? Look, Elaine, you've got to run along. I'll call you tomorrow.
Oh, well, you wanted some sandwiches for the both of you. It won't take a minute.
Why, don't you remember? We were going to celebrate your engagement. That's what we'll do. We'll make a nice little supper and open a bottle of cordial.
All right. No cordial.
Mortimer, what is going on in this house?
What do you mean? What's going on in this house?
Well, first you asked me to dinner in the theater. I said I would. You call it off. You asked me to marry you. I said I'd marry you, and 5 minutes later you're throwing me out of the house. Well, then after brother nearly tries to strangle me, you want to chase me home again. Well, before I do go home, Mr. Brewster, I want to set one thing straight. Do you even love me?
Dear, I love you. Oh, I love you so much I can't marry you.
Suddenly gone crazy.
No, but it's just a matter of time. You see, insanity runs in my family. Practically gallows.
Oh, you're going to have to do better than that.
Now, here, there's a strange taint in the Brewster blood. It's what you'd expect if Strindberg had written Hell's a Poppin'.
Oh, no, just because Teddy's a little crazy.
No, it's more than that. The first Brewster, the one who came over on the Mayflower. Back in those days, the Indians used to scalp the settlers. He used to scalp the Indians.
Mortimer, that's ancient
No,
history.
the whole family. Take my grandfather. He tried his patent medicines out on dead people to be sure he wouldn't kill them.
Oh, he wasn't so bad. He made $1 million.
And there's Jonathan. Darling, you said he was a maniac. He tried to kill me.
Yes, but he's your brother, not you. Well, I'm in love with you.
And there's Penny. I think she's Roosevelt. No, dear, no Brewster should marry. In fact, if I'd have met my father in time, I'd have stopped him.
Well, now all this amounts to absolutely nothing. We'll take your aunts. They're Brewsters, aren't they? And the kindest, sweetest, well, sanest people I've ever met.
Even they have their peculiarities.
Fine. But what lovely peculiarities. I mean gentleness, kindness. Why, human sympathy.
There's another one.
Well, I'm sure there's many more.
I'm not going to look at it.
Mortimer, we're here by ourselves.
I know I'm acting irrationally. Just put it down to the fact I'm a mad Brewster.
Well, listen, if you think you're going to get out of this by claiming you're insane, well, you're crazy. You may not be marrying me, but I'm going to marry you. I love you.
But if you love me, will you get out of here?
Fine. Well, won't you at least walk me home? I'm afraid.
Afraid of what? A little walk through the cemetery?
Well, then won't you kiss me goodnight?
All right. Have a good night, dear. You run along. Call you tomorrow.
You critic!
Aunt Abby and Martha, come in here. Come in here right now.
Yes, dear, what is it?
I thought I told you not to let anybody in.
Well, Jonathan...
I don't mean Jonathan.
Oh, and Dr.
And I don't
Einstein.
mean Dr. Einstein. Who's this in the window seat?
Who can that be?
Are you trying to tell me you have no idea who this is?
Oh, I'm most certain
certainly am. Why, this is so fine. How do you do? It's getting to be so anyone thinks he can just walk into this house.
Don't try to get out of this one, Aunt Abby. That's another one of your gentlemen.
Mortimer, how can you say such a thing? Why, that man is an imposter. And if he came here to be buried in our cellar, then he's a mistake.
Aunt Abby, do admit it to me you put Mr. Hoskins in the window seat.
Yes, I did.
This man couldn't have gotten the idea from Mr. Hoskins.
Mr. Hoskins must have gone to Panama. We haven't buried him yet, dear, but he's just down there waiting for the services. We haven't had a minute what with Jonathan in the house. Oh, dear, I've always wanted to hold a double funeral. Oh, but I will not read services over a total stranger.
Stranger? Aunt Abby, how can I believe you? You admitted to me you poisoned those 12 men.
Yes, I did, but you don't think I'd stoop to telling a fib. Martha!
Oh, Mortimer, I'd like to have a word with you.
Well, the word's about all you'll have time for, Jonathan. Because I've decided you and your doctor friend will get out of this house as quickly as possible.
I'm glad you recognize the fact that you and I cannot live under the same roof together. But you've arrived at the wrong solution. Take your suitcase and get out!
Jonathan, you're beginning to bore me. You've played your one-night stand in Brooklyn. Move on.
Mortimer, just because you graduated from the back fence to the typewriter, don't think you've grown up. I'm staying, and you're leaving. And I mean now.
Jonathan, if you think I can be frightened, if you think there's anything I fear...
Mortimer, I've lived a strange life. But it's taught me one thing. To be afraid of nothing.
Oh, Martha, just look and see what's in that window seat.
Now, Aunt Abby! Jonathan! Why don't we let Aunt Martha see what's in the window seat? Aunt Abby, I owe you an apology. I have very good news for you both. Jonathan's leaving, and he's taking Dr. Einstein and their cult companion with him. Jonathan, you're my brother. You're a Brewster. I'll give you a chance to take the evidence away and get out. You can't ask for more than that. All right, they'll have to call the police.
Don't reach for that phone! Are you still giving me orders after seeing what's happened to Mr. Spinalzo?
Spinoza? Oh, I knew he was a foreigner.
Remember what happened to Mr. Spinalzo can happen to you, too.
Hello, Miss Abby.
Oh, Officer O'Hara, is there something we can do for you?
Well, I saw your lights on and thought there may be sickness in the house. Oh, I see our company. I'm sorry I disturbed you.
Don't come in, come in.
Yes, come in. All right, Officer O'Hara. This is our nephew, Mortimer.
Pleased to meet you.
And this is another nephew, Jonathan.
Pleased to make your acquaintance. Well, it must be nice having your nephews visiting you. Are they staying with you for a bit?
I'm staying. My brother Jonathan's just leaving.
I met you before, haven't I?
Oh, I don't think so. Jonathan hasn't been home for years.
Your face looks familiar to me. Maybe I've seen a picture of you around here somewhere.
I don't think so.
Jonathan, you better hurry. You haven't got much time, you know.
Well, we wanted to say goodbye, so I'll be running along.
Now, why don't you stick around until my brother leaves?
Oh, I just dropped by to make sure everything was all right.
We're going to have some coffee. Why don't you join us?
Oh, I forgot the coffee. Well, I better make some more sandwiches. I ought to know you're outside by this time, Officer O'Hara.
Don't bother. I'm due to ring in a few minutes.
My brother will be gone soon. You can have some coffee with us. Just sit down.
Say, ain't I seen a photograph of your brother around here someplace?
I don't think so.
He certainly reminds me of someone.
Probably somebody you've seen in the movies.
Ah, I hate him. I never go to him. Yeah, but my mother was an actress, a stage actress. Perhaps you've heard of her. Beatrice Work.
Sounds like a name I've seen in a program. What did she play?
Well, her big hit was Mutt and Jeff. Played it for 3 years. I was born on tour.
You were?
3rd season. Sioux City, Iowa. I was born at the end of the 2nd act. My mother made it out for the finale.
What a trooper. You know, I write for the movie.
You do? Say, you're not Morty or Brewster, the dramatic critic?
Yes.
Gee, am I glad to meet you. Say, Mr. Brewster, we're in the same line of business.
We are?
Oh yeah, I'm a playwright.
This being on the police force is just a temporary job.
How long have you been with the force?
Oh, 12 years. But I'm collecting material for a play.
Yeah, I'll bet it's a honey.
Well, it ought to be, with all the drama I see here being a cop. Say, Mr. Brewster, you have no idea what goes on in Brooklyn.
I'll bet I do.
Say, what time you got?
10 after 1.
Gee, I gotta ring in.
No, play of yours. I may be able to help you.
You would? Say, it's fate, my walking in this time. Here, I'll tell you the plot. Well, you see, it all opens up in my...
Oh, good, Jonathan. You're leaving. You haven't got much time yet.
Well, everything's just about ready. Jonathan, are you leaving? Well, goodbye. Goodbye, Dr. Einstein. Doesn't this case belong to you?
Yes, Jonathan. You can't leave without everything you know. Look, O'Hara, it was nice meeting you. You'd probably better go ring in. We'll meet up some other time to talk about the play.
I'm not leaving now. Promise to write my play with me. You and me are gonna write my play.
I'm not a creative writer. I can't do that.
Oh, I'll do the creative. You just put the words to it.
But O'Hara...
No, Mr. Brewster, I'm not leaving until I tell you the plot.
In that case, Mortimer, we'll be running along.
You can't leave without all your things, Jonathan. Look, O'Hara, we'll get together some other place and talk about your play.
I can wait. I've been waiting 12 years.
Sorry it was so long.
Oh, don't bring that in here. Look, O'Hara, would you mind joining us for a bite to eat in the kitchen?
The kitchen? Oh, Jonathan's leaving. Oh, well, that's nice. Come along, Officer O'Hara. You sure you don't mind eating in the kitchen?
And where else do you eat?
Well, goodbye, Jonathan. It was nice to have seen you again.
Jonathan, I'm glad you came back home. Because it gives me a chance to throw you out. And the first one out is your friend, Mr. Spinalzo.
Say, Mr. Brewster, we can talk in...
I'll be right in.
Might have known you grew up to write a play with the policeman.
Get going now, all three of you.
Doctor, this affair between my brother and me has got to be settled.
Now, Johnny, your brother gives us a chance to get away. What more could you ask?
You don't understand. This goes back a good many years.
Now, Johnny, let's get going.
We're not going. We're staying right here.
With a cop in the kitchen and Mr. Spinalzo in the window seat? That's all he's got on us.
I take Mr. Spinozzi down to the bay, dump him, and then come back here. Then if he tries to interfere...
Now, Johnny...
Doctor, you know when I make up my mind.
Yeah, when you make up your mind, you lose your head. Brooklyn needs a good place for you.
Doctor!
All right. We stick together. Someday we get stuck together. If we're coming back here, do we have to take the instruments with us?
No! Leave them here. Hide them in the cellar. Move fast. Spinozzi can go out the same way he came in.
Hey, Johnny, come quick. What's the matter? You know that hole down in the cellar?
Yes.
We got the ace in the hole. Come on, I show you.
Jonathan? Jonathan? Jonathan?
Yes, Mortimer?
Where have you been? I thought I told you to get going.
We're not going.
Oh, you're not going. How about I tell O'Hara what's in the window seat?
We're staying right here.
Oh, you don't think I'm serious about this, eh? This gets me rid of you and Officer O'Hara at the same time. Hey, O'Hara, come in here a minute, will you?
If you tell him what's in the window seat, I'll tell him what's down in the cellar.
The cellar?
There's an elderly gentleman down there who seems to be quite dead.
What were you doing down in the cellar?
What's he doing down in the cellar?
No, thanks, ma'am. They were fine. I had plenty.
Now what are you going to say to O'Hara?
Say, Mr. Brewster, your aunt's over here, too. Shall I get them in here?
No, you'd probably better go ring in.
Never mind bringing in. I'll tell you the plot.
No, not with all these people around. You'd probably better just go ring in.
Are you sure? Can we go talk about it?
Okay, fine. Let's go out and let's meet up some other place.
How about Kelly's?
Fine. You go ring in. I'll meet you at Kelly's.
Why don't you two go down into the cellar?
That's all right with me. Is this the cellar?
No, we're going to Kelly's. You're going to ring in on the way.
That'll only take a couple minutes.
I'll ditch this guy and be back in 5 minutes. When I return, I'll expect to find you gone. Wait for me.
We'll wait for him, Doctor. We couldn't make things for a chance like this.
Yeah, we got him right where we want him. He looked guilty.
Oh, we thought we heard someone leave.
That was Mortimer. We'll be back in a few minutes. Is there anything left in the kitchen? Dr. Einstein and I would enjoy a bite.
But you won't have time. No, if you're still here when Mortimer gets back, he won't like it.
He'll like it. He's got to like it. It's something for us to eat while we bury Mr. Spinalzo.
No, Jonathan, he can't stay in our cellar. No, you've got to take him with you.
But there's a friend of Mortimer's downstairs waiting for him.
Mortimer's?
He and Mr. Spinalzo will get along fine together. Both dead.
Oh, he must be Mr. Hoskins.
Mr. Hoskins? Did you know about what's downstairs?
Oh, yes, of course, but he's no friend of Mortimer's. He's one of our gentlemen.
Your gentleman?
Most of the strangers buried in our cellar.
But Mr. Hoskins...
Mr. Hoskins isn't a stranger. Oh, and besides, there's no room for Mr. Spinalzo. The cellar's crowded as it is.
Crowded? What?
Well, there are 12 graves down there now. That leaves very little room, and we're going to need it.
You and Aunt Martha murdered.
Murder? No, certainly not. It's one of our charities. But what we've been doing the first.
You've done that here, in this house, and buried them down there.
Hey, Johnny, we've been chased all over the world. Your aunt stays right here and do just as good as you do. They've got 12 and you've got 12.
I've got 13.
No, Johnny, 12.
13! There's Mr. Spinalzo. And the first one in London. 2 in Johannesburg, 1 in Sydney, 1 in Melbourne, 2 in San Francisco, 1 in Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix?
The filling station. The 3 in Chicago, and 1 in South Bend. That makes 13.
But you can't count the one in South Bend. He died of pneumonia.
You wouldn't have gotten pneumonia if I hadn't shot him.
No, Johnny, he don't count.
He counts with me. I say 13.
No, Johnny, you've gotten 12 and they've got 12. Your aunts are just as good as you are.
Is that so? In that case, all I need is 1 more. Just 1 more. Here I am.
You stop doing that! This is our house and this is our cellar, and you can't do that!
Hey, get back upstairs where you belong.
Abby, Martha, go upstairs.
There's no use you're doing what you're doing because it will just have to be undone. I'm warning you, we won't have it, and you'd better stop it right now. All right. You'll find out yourself. Oh, I'm telling you, we won't have it. Oh, hasn't Mortimer come back yet? No. It's a terrible thing to bury a good Methodist with a foreigner. I will not have our cellar desecrated. And we promised Mr. Hoskins a full Christian funeral. Where do you suppose Mortimer went? I don't know, but he must be doing something because he told Jonathan, you just wait, I'll settle this. Well, he can't very well settle it while he's out of the house. That's all we want settled. What's going on down there? Mortimer, where have you been?
I've been over to Dr. Gilchrist. I got his signature on Teddy's commitment papers.
Mortimer, what is the matter with you? Running around getting papers signed at a time like this. You know what Jonathan's doing? He's putting Mr. Hoskins and Mr. Spinalzo in together.
Oh, he is he? No, well, let him. Is Teddy in his room?
Teddy won't be any help.
But when I get a signature on these commitment papers, I can tackle Jonathan.
What have they got to do with it?
You had to go tell Jonathan about those 12 graves. If I can make Teddy responsible for those, I can protect you. Don't you see?
No, I don't see. And we pay taxes for the police to protect us. Come, Martha, we're going for the police.
All right. But the police, you can't go for the police.
Why can't we?
Because if the police find out about Mr. Spinalzo, then they can find Mr. Hoskins, and that might make them curious, and then they can find the other 12 gentlemen.
Oh, Mortimer, we know the police better than you do. I don't think they'd pry into our private affairs if we asked them not to.
But if they find your other 12 gentlemen, they'd have to report to headquarters.
Oh, I don't think they'd bother. They'd have to write out a very long report. If there's one thing a policeman needs to do is to write.
You can't depend on that. It might leak out. You couldn't expect a judge and jury to understand.
Oh, Judge Coleman would.
Yes, we know him very well.
He always comes to church to pray just before elections.
Oh, and he's coming here to tea someday, he promised.
Oh, Abby, we must speak to him again about that. You see, his wife died a few years back and has left him very lonely.
Well, come along, Martha.
No, you can't do this. I won't let you. You can't go out of this house and you can't have Judge Coleman to tea.
Well, if you're not going to do something about Mr. Spinozzo, then we are.
I am going to do something. Look, we may have to call the police in later, but if we do, I want to be ready for them.
You've got to get Jonathan out of this house.
And Mr. Spinozzo,
Will you
too.
please let me do this my own way? I've got to see Teddy.
Mortimer, if they're not out of this house by morning, we're going to call the police.
They'll be out of this house by morning, I promise you that. Now go to bed, will you? For goodness sake, get out of those clothes.
Well, Abby, that's a relief, isn't it?
Yes, if Mortimer's really going to do something at last, it just means that Jonathan's going to a lot of unnecessary trouble. Oh, Jonathan, you might as well stop what you're doing.
It's all done. Did I hear Mortimer?
Well, it will just have to be undone. You're all going to be out of this house by morning. Mortimer's promised.
Oh, are we? In that case, you and Aunt Martha can go to bed and have a pleasant night's sleep.
Yes, come, Abby.
Good night, aunties.
No, not good night, Jonathan. Goodbye. By the time we get up, you'll all be out of this house. Mortimer's promised.
And here's the way of doing it, too.
Then Mortimer's back.
Oh, yes, he's up here talking to Teddy.
Goodbye, Jonathan.
Goodbye, Jonathan.
Perhaps you'd better say goodbye to Mortimer.
Oh, but you'll see Mortimer.
Yes, I'll see Mortimer.
Phew, that's all fixed up. Smooth like a lake. Nobody'd ever know they were down there. That bed feels good already. 48 hours we didn't sleep. Come on, Johnny, let's go up, eh?
You're forgetting, Doctor.
What?
Your brother Mortimer.
Johnny, tonight, we do that tomorrow or the next day.
No, tonight. Now.
But Johnny, I'm tired and I got to operate tomorrow.
Yes, you're operating tomorrow, but tonight we take care of Mortimer.
But Johnny, not tonight. Let's go to bed, eh?
Doctor, look at me. You can see it's going to be done, can't you?
Ah, I know that look. I can see.
It's a little too late for us to dissolve our partnership.
All right, we'll do it. But the quick way, the quick twist, like in London.
No, I think this calls for something special. Perhaps the Melbourne method.
Ah, Johnny, no, not that. 2 hours. When it was all over, but the fellow in Melbourne was just as dead as the fellow in London.
We had to work much too fast in London. There was no aesthetic satisfaction in it. But Melbourne, there was something to remember.
Remember? I wish I didn't. No, Johnny, not Melbourne, not me.
Yes, Doctor. Where are the instruments?
I won't do it, Johnny. I won't do it.
Get your instruments!
No, Johnny.
Where are they? Oh, yes. You hid them in the cellar. Where?
I won't tell you.
I'll find them, Doctor.
Don't do that, Mr. President.
I cannot sign a proclamation without consulting my cabinet.
This must be a secret.
A secret proclamation?
Japan mustn't know until it's signed.
Those yellow devils. I'll sign it right away. Have my word. I can let the cabinet know later.
Yes, let's go inside.
You wait here. A secret proclamation must be signed in secret.
But at once, Mr.
I'll
President.
go put on my signing book.
Ah, you go now, eh?
No, Doctor, I'm waiting for something important.
Please, you go now.
Look, Doctor, you seem to be a nice fellow. I have nothing against you personally. Look, take my advice and get out of this house and get just as far away as possible.
Trouble, yeah, you get out.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
I'm warning you. Get away fast.
Look, things are going to start popping around here any minute.
Listen, Johnny's in a bad mood. When he gets like this, things happen. Terrible things.
Jonathan doesn't worry me now.
Ah, don't those plays you see teach you anything?
About what?
Well, at least the people in the plays act like they got some sense. That's more than you do.
Oh, you think the people in these plays act like they've got sense, do you? Well, I wish you had to sit through some of the ones I have to sit through. Take the little opus I saw tonight, for instance. In this play, there's this man. He's supposed to be bright, right? He knows he's in a house with murderers. He's even been warned to get out of the house. But does he go? No, he stays there. Now, I ask you, Doctor, is that what an intelligent person would do?
You're asking me?
He didn't even have some sense enough to be frightened, to be on guard. For instance, the murderer asked him to sit down.
You mean, won't you sit down?
Believe it or not, that one was in there too.
And what did he do?
He sat down. Now I ask you, Doctor. This fellow, he's supposed to be bright. He just sits there waiting to be trussed up. Guess what they used to tie him with?
What?
The curtain cord.
Why not? Very convenient.
Yeah, a little too convenient. When are playwrights going to start using some imagination?
But didn't see him, you did?
Oh, see him? He sat there with his back to him. Now, Doctor, that's the stuff I have to sit through night after night. They say the critics are killing the theater. Yeah, right, it's the playwrights who are killing the theater. So there he sits, the big dope, this fellow's supposed to be bright, just making it real, like, he just sits kind of like this, just waiting to be trussed up and gagged. Hey, what are you guys doing to me? No.
You're right about that fella. He wasn't very bright.
Now, Moines, if you don't mind, we'll finish the rest of the story. I've been away for 20 years, but not once in all that time, my dear brother, were you ever out of my mind. In Melbourne, one night I dreamed. In San Francisco, I felt the same strange satisfaction of being in the same country with you. Now, Doctor, we go to work.
Please, Zanny, for me, the quick way.
Doctor, this must really be an artistic achievement. After all, we're performing before a very distinguished critic.
Johnny.
Doctor!
All right, let's get it over.
All ready for you, Doctor.
Emo, that idiot! He goes next, that's all. He goes next! No, Johnny, not Teddy. That's where I stop.
We get to Teddy later.
We don't get to him at all.
We've got to work fast.
Ah, the quick way, eh, Johnny?
Yes, the quick way.
Colonel's got to quit pulling that horn.
We promised to take it away from him, officer. We'll handle it.
There's going to be a lot to pay in the morning. We promised the neighbors you wouldn't do that.
We'll take care of it, officer. Good night.
Maybe I better talk to myself. Here. Hey, you stood me up. I waited an hour for you at Kelly's. What happened to him?
He was explaining the play he saw tonight. That's what happened to the fellow in the play.
That's what happened to the fellow. He practically stole that from my second act. Why my second act? Just before the... Maybe I better begin at the beginning. Well, all opens up in my mother's dressing room where I was born. Only... Nah, you gotta hear the plot. Just sitting there making up the scene, and all of a sudden, in through the window, there's a man. He steps through, the black mustache. He turns to my mother and says, "Miss Latour, will you marry me?" I'm tied up in a chair like you are. The place is in an inferno of flames. It's on fire. When all of a sudden, in through the door comes Mayor LaGuardia. Where do you think it's so far?
That would put Johnny to sleep.
It's 3 days later. I've been transferred and I'm under charges because someone stole my badge. I'm walking my beat on Staten Island, 46th Precinct. And it turns out the guy I'm following is really following me. Don't let anybody in. So I figure I'll outsmart him. There's a vacant house on the corner. I goes in.
These cops.
I'm standing there in the dark, and I see the door handle turn.
Johnny's cops.
Listen to this. So, pulls my guns, and I brace myself, and I says, "Come in." Hey, Pat! What is going
listen. Joe, you better report it to the station. The whole force is out looking for you.
Did they send you here for me?
I didn't know he was here. I came to warn the old ladies there's a lot to pay. The colonel blew that bugle again in the middle of the night. From the way the neighbors have been calling about it, you think the Germans have dropped a bomb on Flatbush Avenue. Anyway, the lieutenant's on the warpath. He says the colonel's got to be put away.
Yes.
Say, Mr. Brewster, I need to be running along.
Just wait for me.
The third act quick.
Say, you know what time it is after 8 o'clock in the morning?
Say, Mr. Brewster, those first two acts really kind of long, but I don't see anything we can leave out.
You can leave it all out.
Who is this guy?
That's my brother.
Oh, the one that ran away, so he came back.
Yeah, she came back.
Yeah, Matt. Yeah. Yeah, this is Rufio. I got him here in the Brewster house. Yeah, do you want me to bring him in? Oh, yeah, I'll hold him right here. Lieutenant's on his way over, Joe.
So I've been turned in, have I? All right, you've got me. I suppose you and that stool pigeon brother of mine will be splitting the reward.
Reward?
Now I'll do some turning in. You think my aunt's so sweet and charming or ladies, do you? Well, there are 13 bodies buried in the cellar.
What are you talking about? You better be careful about what you say to those ladies. They're going to be friends of ours.
I'll show it to you. I'll prove it to you. Come to the cellar with me.
Wait a minute.
13 bodies buried in the cellar.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to see what's down in the cellar.
Joe, go down in the cellar with them.
I don't want to go down the cellar with him. He looks like Boris Karloff. Oh, Pat, get him off me!
What do you think you're doing? What do you know about that?
What have you been doing here? Did I tell you I was going to handle this?
Well, sir, we was just about to,
What happened to him? Sort of a fight?
This ain't the guy that blows the bugle. This is his brother. He tried to kill Joe.
All I said was he looks like Boris Karloff.
Boris, turn him over.
We kind of think this guy's wanted somewhere.
Oh, you kind of think he's wanted somewhere. You can't read the circulars I hang up in the station. The least you could do is read the detective. Certainly he's wanted somewhere. In Indiana, he escaped from a prison for the criminally insane. He's a lifer. And for goodness sakes, that's how he was described. He looks like Karloff.
Was there a reward mentioned?
Yes, non-claimant.
He was trying to get us to go down in the cellar. He said something about 13 bodies being buried down there.
13 bodies in the cellar, and that doesn't tip you off it came from a house.
Well, I thought all along the talk kind of funny.
Oh, it's Shakespeare. If you bet on it, you needn't bother to tell me.
Oh, I've been right here, sir, writing my play with more Brewster.
Really? Or you're going to have plenty of time to write that play. You're suspended. I'll get back in for you.
Say, can I come over sometime and use the station's typo?
No! Get out of here! Take that guy somewhere else and bring him too. See what you can find out about his accomplice. The guy that helped him escape, he's 1 and 2. No wonder both is in the shape it is. Forceful of flatheads like you would fall into that kind of story. 13 bodies in the cellar.
But there are 13 bodies in the cellar.
And who are you?
I'm President Roosevelt.
He's the fellow that blows the bugle. Good morning, Colonel.
Well, Colonel, you're blowing your life.
Dear me! Another yellow fever victim? Bodies in the cellar. They're yellow fever victims.
No, Colonel, this is a spy we found in the White House.
Will you get that guy out of here?
If there's any question of spies, that's my department.
Keep out of this.
Forgive, as President of the United States, I'm also head of Secret Service.
Mortimer Brewster.
Are you sure?
Look, I'd like to talk to you about my brother. The one who blows the bugle?
Mr. Brewster, we ain't gonna talk about that. He's got to be
Oh, I quite agree with you. In fact, it's all arranged for him. See, these are his commitment papers. He's signed them, Dr. Gilchrist has signed them, our family physician, and I've signed them here as next of kin.
Where's he going?
Hattydale.
All right, I don't care where he goes, just as long as
Well, he's going all right. Now, about those 13 body specimens.
Yeah, there's 13 bodies. You know, it ain't enough of an neighbor like scared for it's blowing the bugle. But can you imagine what would happen if that cockeyed story about 13 bodies started around? And now he's starting a yellow fever scare. Cute Danes.
Oh, yeah. 13 bodies. Who'd believe a story like that?
Well, you can't tell. Some people are just donuts. You never know what to believe sometimes. Why, about a year ago, a crazy guy starts a murder room over in Greenport, and I had to dig up half an acre lot.
Excuse me. Oh, hello, Elaine.
Good morning, Mortimer. This is Mr. Witherspoon. He's come to meet Teddy.
To meet Teddy?
Mr. Witherspoon is the superintendent of Happydale.
Oh, yes. Well, come in. And, this over here is Lieutenant Rooney.
I'm glad to hear you. Take him back today.
Oh, no, not today.
Look, Elaine, I've got some business to attend to. Why don't you run along home? I'll clean it tomorrow.
Nuts.
I had no idea it was this immediate.
Papers are all signed. Go today.
Complete insubordination. Men will find I have no mollycoddle. The President of the United States being treated like this. What is this country coming to?
There's your man, Super.
Just a second. Mr. President, I have very good news for you. Your term of office is over.
Is it March 4th?
Practically.
Let's see. Now I go on my hunting trip to Africa.
Yes.
I'll get started right away.
Is he trying to move in before I move out?
Who, Teddy? Oh, this isn't Mr. Teddy. This is Mr. Witherspoon. He's to be your hunting guide in Africa.
Oh, bully, just bully. I'll go get my equipment.
When the safari comes, tell them to wait.
And Abby and Martha, I'm going to Africa. Isn't it wonderful? Well, goodbye. Goodbye. Sure!
Good morning, darlings.
Oh, we have visitors.
Yes, this is Captain Rooney.
Oh, Captain. Why, you don't look like the fuss budget the policemen say you are.
Why the captain is here is, Teddy blew his bugle again last night.
Oh, we're going to speak to Teddy about that.
It's a little more serious than that, Mr.
This over here is Mr. Witherspoon. He's the superintendent of Happydale.
Oh, Mr. Witherspoon, how do you do?
You've come to meet Teddy.
He's come to take him.
No.
Well, let's not till after we're gone.
Darlings, the police want Teddy to go to Happydale today.
No.
I'm sorry, Mr. Researcher, the law's law. He's committed himself. He's going.
Well, if he goes, then we're going too.
Yes, you'll have to take us with him.
Well, why not?
Well, that's sweeter than Moines, but we can't take sane people at Happydale.
Mr. Witherspoon, if you'll let us go to Happydale with Teddy, we'll be sure it's in our will for a very generous amount.
Well, Lord knows we could use the money.
Now let's be sensible about this, ladies. For instance, here I am wasting my morning when I have serious work to do. There are still murders to be solved in Brooklyn.
Oh, yes. Are there?
It ain't always been blowing, and the neighbors always scared of it. But sooner or later, we'll be put to the trouble of digging up your cellar.
Our cellar?
Yeah, your nephew's been telling around that there are some 13 bodies buried in your cellar.
Oh, but there are 13 bodies in our cellar.
Yes, if that's why you think Teddy has to go away, you just come right down and we'll
I don't think the lieutenant wants to come down in our cellar. Why, just last year he had to dig up a whole half-acre lot just to prove that there wasn't anybody there.
That's right.
Oh, but you wouldn't have to dig here. The graves are all marked. We put flowers on them every Sunday.
Flowers? Superintendent, don't you think we can find room for these ladies?
Well,
Well, how about, Super?
they'd have to be committed.
Oh, Teddy committed himself. Can't they commit themselves? Can't they sign the papers?
Well, certainly.
Oh, if we can go with Teddy, we'll sign the papers. Where are they?
Yes, where are they?
He's coming around, Lieutenant.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Brophy.
Good morning, Mr. Brophy. Are you here too?
Yes, and I have your other nephew in the kitchen.
Well, sign them up, Superintendent. I wanted this all cleaned up. 13 bodies.
You'll sign right here.
And, you here then, have you? That makes everything complete? Everything legal?
No, we're going to need a signature with Doctor.
Dr. Einstein, why don't you come over here and join us just for a little bit?
please, I must...
No, we need your signature on some papers. You know, at one point last night, I thought the doctor was going to operate on me. Just sign right here, doctor.
Were you leaving, Doctor?
I think I must go.
Aren't you going to wait for Jonathan?
I don't think we're going to the same place.
Hello, stick around, huh?
I'm not going anywhere.
Hello, Matt. Ready? Now, we picked up that guy's running in Indiana. Now, there's a description of a compass on my desk. Yeah, read it to me. 54, brown hair, 140 pounds, blue eyes, talks with a German accent, poses as a doctor. Thanks, Matt.
It's all right. The doctor here is just completing his signatures.
Thanks, Doc.
You're really doing Brooklyn a service.
Now, if you'll sign this first year's next again.
Yes. That makes everything fine?
Oh, yes.
Well, darlings, now you're safe.
So, when do you think you'll be ready to start?
Well, Mr. Witherspoon, why don't you go upstairs and tell Teddy just what he can take with him?
Upstairs?
I'll show you.
Oh, no, Mortimer, you stay here. We want to talk to you. Yes, it's just upstairs and turn to the left.
You know, Mortimer, now that we're leaving, this house really is yours.
Yes, we want you to live here now.
This house is too full of memories.
Oh, but you and Elaine will need a home when you're married.
No, that's very indefinite.
Oh, it's nothing of the kind. We'll be married right away.
Oh, Mortimer, we're really very worried about something.
What? You're going to love it at Happy Day.
Oh, yes, we're very happy about the whole thing. That's just it. We don't want anything to go wrong.
Will they investigate those signatures?
Oh, they're not going to investigate Dr. Einstein.
Oh, it's not his signature, dear. It's yours.
You see, dear, you signed as next of kin.
Why wouldn't I?
Well, dear, it's something we never wanted to tell you. But now you're a man, and it's something Elaine should know, too. You see, dear, you're not really a Brewster.
Well, you see, dear, your mother came to us as a cook, and her poor husband had just died, and you were born about 3 months afterward. Oh, she was such a sweet woman and such a good cook, we didn't want to lose her, so brother married her.
I'm not really a Brewster.
Now, don't feel too badly about it, dear.
Oh, and it won't make any difference to you, Elaine.
Elaine, did you hear? Do you understand? I'm adopted.
Well, I better get things started for breakfast.
Oh, don't bother. Mortimer and I are going to my house for breakfast. Father's gone to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I could use some coffee. I've had quite a night.
Mr. Witherspoon, you seem to have forgotten your hat.
We don't need a wagon. My car's out front.
Oh, you mean Jonathan?
Yeah, there's some people in Indiana who want to take care of him for the rest of his life.
Well, it's nice to know you have some place to go, Jonathan. Yes, we're going to Happydale.
This house seemed last for the Brewsters.
Unless Mortimer wants to live here.
I have a suggestion to make. Why don't you turn this property over to the church?
Oh, well, we never thought of that.
After all, it should be part of the cemetery.
Come on.
Well, I can't better my score now. Neither can you. At least I have that satisfaction. Score stands even. 12 is 12.
Jonathan always was a mean boy. Never stand to let anyone get ahead of him.
I wish there was some way we could show him he isn't so smart. Mr. Witherspoon, does your family live with you at Happydale?
I have no family.
Oh, well, I'm sure you consider everyone at Happydale your family.
I'm afraid you don't quite understand. As head of the institution, I must remain quite aloof.
Oh, that must make it very lonely for you.
It does, but my duty is my duty.
Well, Martha, if Mr. Witherspoon won't join us for breakfast, I think at least we should offer him a glass of our raspberry cordial.
Raspberry cordial?
We make it ourselves.
Why, yes. Of course, at Happydale, our relationship will be much more formal. But here, you don't see much raspberry cordial nowadays. Thought I'd had my last class of it.
Oh, no.
No, here it is.